Hello and welcome to This Week with Ajaz Haque. It is Sunday, March the 26th, 2023. Welcome to the show. First, Pakistan. There is a constitutional crisis in Pakistan at the moment. The government and the Election Commission has delayed the elections. We'll talk more about that. Seymour Hersh, an investigative journalist, has revealed some very interesting things about the gas pipeline from Russia to Germany, and Imran Khan held a very successful rally in Lahore last night, and some of the banks are collapsing after the Silicon Valley Bank and the Credit Suisse. But first, the constitutional crisis. The elections to Punjab Assembly were due to be held on April 30th and the KP Assembly soon thereafter. That was the direction of the Supreme Court of Pakistan. The Election Commission had announced the dates and the schedule, but due to sinister plans of the government and the Election Commission and the establishment together, because they don't want the election to take place because they know that Imran Khan will win hands down, and therefore they have delayed the elections, which is unconstitutional and illegal and contempt of court as a Supreme Court's order. Not only that, they've delayed them by almost 6 months from April 30th to October 8th. Now, the Election Commission has been saying all along that they don't have the authority to announce a date, but yet they've announced a new date and also delayed the election on the pretext that the government is not giving them money or security or other things. And the government used excuse that the IMF has laid strict conditions, so they cannot allocate 20 billion rupees for the elections. But at the same time, they're handing out 100 billion rupees to their party members and several billion rupees for laptop schemes and so many others. But they couldn't spare 20 billion. The IMF has come out openly and said they have absolutely laid no such condition. And the elections, as far as they're concerned, is not something that they wish to have any controversy about. The PDM government is unfortunately in a defiant mood. There are serious questions now about legality and about the Article 6 of the Constitution, which is to be revoked, possibly against the Chief Election Commissioner, the Ministry of Finance, Secretary of Finance, and Secretary of Interior, who have blatantly refused to provide help to the Election Commission, and the Election Commission is complicit in all this, as it has been the case all along. It's been playing as a B team for the PMLN and the PDM government. This is very unfortunate because the government doesn't realize that if the elections are delayed now beyond the 90 days that the Constitution requires, then in future no government would want to hold elections, and they'll keep delaying them year after year after year. And the parties like PPP and PML may end up suffering. What if Imran Khan comes to power and he decides to follow suit and not hold the elections and delay them? What will they do then? So it's very important to stay with the Constitution, stay within the constitutional limits. Appeals have been filed to the Supreme Court of Pakistan by PTI and also by Sheikh Rashid Ahmed, who is his own faction of Pakistan Muslim League. And the hearing is likely to come up on Monday or Tuesday. It remains to be seen what hard line Supreme Court will take to implement its own order, its own judgment, and if it will hold people in contempt, and if the Supreme Court will order the elections to be held as previously scheduled. I think this shouldn't take long, probably hearing 2-3 days, and then there should be a result. And this could cause some massive upheaval in the government because some people may be disqualified or removed from office as a result of that. Now, Seymour Hersh, the investigative journalist of the United States, has come up with some revealing information. He says that the United States sabotaged and destroyed Nord Stream pipeline 2, which was being built from Russia to Germany. There's already one pipeline, a second pipeline. And he says that the instruction of President Biden, CIA destroyed the pipeline in such a way they could not be detected. And he's given a lot of evidence and proof about that. If that is true, then I think this is state terrorism. And I hope Germany will hold the United States accountable for this. As a result, so the gas prices in Germany have gone up 6 times because they're expecting a lot more gas from Russia and cheaper gas. And in France, they've gone up 5 times. Now, France is dealing with its own demons. The president has increased the pension age from 62 to 64, which is still quite low, but the people are demonstrating that they don't want the pension age to be increased. But and funnily enough, this has not been approved by the parliament. It's just an executive order, so it could be challenged in courts. People are demonstrating, setting fire to buildings, and a lot of damage is being done in France. The problem is that, according to the president, there is $9 billion deficit in pensions, and that somehow has to be cleared, and that can only be done if the pension age can be increased. Anyway, Imran Khan held a rally on the 31st anniversary of his 1992 Cricket World Cup victory. Last night, he held a rally at the Minar, Pakistan. The government tried to create obstacles all over, tried to block the roads so the people won't be able to get to the rally ground. The roads coming in from Gujranwala, Sialkot, Faisalabad, Kasur, they were all blocked with containers and trucks. And even coming from the Wagah side, people walked as much as 10 miles to get to the rally ground. Now, all these efforts, obviously desperate and dictatorial and Machiavellian, all failed because people showed up in large numbers. The estimates vary from 500,000 to 1 million attendees. If that is the case, that's a slap in the face of the government and the police and all those who are trying to block people from coming. Anyway, Imran Khan held a very successful rally, and despite 130 cases registered against him and 2,000 of his party workers arrested in the last week, so in order to fail his rally, he still was able to have a successful rally and a very vociferous voice and confident. Maryam banoge, Bilawal banoge, Hamza banoge, Shehbaz banoge, Diesel banoge, Beghari banoge, Ghulam banoge, Imran banoge, Imran banoge, Pakistan banoge.
लोगों ये कहते थे हमने सियासत कुर्बान की है, लानत है तुम पे, सारे लानत पे जो लानत है तुम पे, तुम अपनी सियासत नहीं इस रियासत को तबाह करने आए हो। चोरों, डाकुओं, लुटेरों, बदमाशों, मनी लॉन्ड्ररों, आज कौम इमरान खान के साथ क्यों निकली है कि वो इन चोरों से निजात हासिल करना चाहती है। हमारी फौज से लड़ाई नहीं है। पुलिस वालों, तुमने जिले शाह जैसे आदमी को, एक दरवेश को मारा। याद रखना, मैं कोई वली नहीं, नेक नहीं, गुनाहगार आदमी हूं। इस दरवेश का कहर पड़ेगा, इस दरवेश की रमजान में बद्दुआ लगेगी और ये धरती इंशाअल्लाह हक का फैसला करेगी।
He challenged the establishment that if you have a better plan, I am ready to step down. But obviously he knows they don't have a plan. Even foreign voices are now being raised. Mr. Zalmay Khalilzad, who is US point man to Afghanistan, has said hands off. No touching him, no arresting him, and no killing him. He's talking about Imran Khan. Now, one doesn't know if he's talking in his own personal capacity or is he speaking on behalf of the US government. But some US senators have raised alarm on the Senate floor about what is going on in Pakistan and about the treatment that's being given to Imran Khan. PTI officials also had a meeting with Western ambassadors in Islamabad. The Australian High Commissioner was kind to arrange a get-together. Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Vice Chairman of PTI, and Asad Umar, the General Secretary, they met with several ambassadors, including Middle Eastern ambassadors, and briefed them about the situation and all the criminal cases being filed against Imran Khan and all the coercive tactics the government is adopting. So hopefully some sense will prevail and things will come back to normal. Now, finance. Following the crash of Silicon Valley Bank in the United States, some other banks are facing difficulty in the United States. Even though President Biden says nobody has to worry about their depositors, but it remains to be seen whether the American taxpayer will foot the bill of billions of dollars for those banks that may crash. I believe First Republic Bank is one of those which is in some difficulties. Credit Suisse, one of the oldest established banks in Europe, went under. It had to be taken over by UBS, the larger of the two banks in Switzerland. But it does mean that it will be probably a death warrant for 51,000 employees of Credit Suisse, or most of them, and many branches will close. It's very unfortunate that the Swiss, who used to be very conservative in banking, have become adventurous like the Americans. Let's hope things don't get much worse. Now, the Deutsche Bank is also seeing a decline. Its shares in the month of March alone, they fell by 22%. From $12 to just over, just near $9, and there are signs of worries, but I assume the German government will bail it out for whatever it needs. Now, finally, some entertainment news or trivia. It was March 22, 60 years ago, when the Beatles launched their first album, Please Please Me. It was in the charts for 6 weeks before it went on to number 1, and then it stayed there for 30 weeks, 30 weeks. And many of its tracks became single, top of the charts for a long time. And that was the real success of the Beatles, or the launch of the Beatles. It was very interesting. I saw the Beatles myself in my younger days coming to perform in a building opposite my office. That was a long time ago. Anyway, have a good week. That's all for today. And let's hope things, common sense prevails in Pakistan, and all these draconian measures being taken will come to an end soon. Take care and goodbye.